Hello everyone, Chris here. In today's video, I'm going to rank every single tank based on how good they are in mid-season 6 of Overwatch 2. Let's get started. And we'll start our tier list with Winston, and I feel like this dude went from being an absolute S tier in Season 4 and Season 5 to being completely mediocre in the mid-season 6 of Overwatch 2 because of the Bastion changes, because Ilarin is now in ranked, and in reality of the situation, every single time you jump in, you either get completely devoured by Bastion or there is just nothing to kill. If you take pretty much any support backline that you can possibly jump onto, you quickly realize that you cannot do it by yourself. And if you would want to play with Sombra, that's going to be a wasted value. You want to play with Tracer, she's going to get 2-tapped by Larry. And the combination is not quite there. You have a horrible matchup versus D.Va, you have a horrible matchup versus Reinhardt, you have a horrible matchup versus Ramattra, and it is just not working as it was working before, and thus Winston is kind of a mid to low B tier character. Very difficult to use, one of the highest mechanical skill floor ultimates in the game, and it is not looking bright for my Winston mains out there. Orisa is in a very interesting spot as you are entering the sort of rock, paper, scissors triangle with this character. You are playing Orisa into Doomfist, opponent can swap Zarya to counter you. With the recent changes, Zarya became an unstoppable force into that character. It feels like at the start of the season 6, it wasn't such of a big deal, but in reality now, her bubbles are getting off cooldown so fast and she can charge her ultimate, or excuse me, get her charge so much faster than she is a massive threat to Orisa. And then if she goes Zarya, you can go Doomfist and kinda rock, paper, scissors this tank scenario. Before that it was like Reinhardt, Orisa and Zarya. In reality of the situation with Bastion, it is not working as it was working previously. Character is still very strong, you can infiltrate your backline or the enemy backline with the spin, and then you pin someone with your javelin and finish it up with beautiful headshots while using Fortify. But in reality, yeah, character is the top of the A tier but not quite S. I don't actually believe the words that are coming out of my mouth, but Doomfist is the mid A tier in the current state of the game. The fact that you were a complete garbage for many seasons in a row, and now finally they indirectly buffed Doomfist and made him so much better than he was before. Yes, the -1 second on the slam is nice, but in reality what made him such a nice character of choice is the fact that there are so many Bastions in the game. And yes, Bastion is pretty difficult to play against, but if you are smart about it, if you can kite his form and engage at the right place at the right time, you have a very nice matchup against him. You are very strong into pretty much every tank, as you have the option to either brawl him or to completely avoid. Environmental kills are nice if you can do them with Doomfist, and it feels like with Genji you become a very oppressive, unstoppable force, and this is a great answer to counter Bastion. You are still suffering versus Illari, as the healing pylon will deny every single want to engage onto the enemy backline, as it is going to be completely and utterly useless. But yeah, Doomfist is going to be a very nice choice in the current meta. Very difficult to utilize, but very strong. I would place Junker Queen at the bottom of A tier, as she is incredibly strong and has some very nice matchups against pretty much every single tank in the game. You are either even or can play around the enemy choice. In reality, if you can learn how to land your knives and you use your shout properly, you become an unstoppable force, especially with compositions where you have Kiriko, where you have Lucio to speed you in and out of engage, but in reality, a majority of you will never experience that, as people are just not ready to do that for you. If you would play solo ranked, I feel like you have the potential to be great with Junker Queen. You have the potential to rise above like 50, even 55% win rate if you're good with your aim. But in reality, she is not quite good into Doomfist, and then yeah, there are certain possibilities and limitations, like you are not defending your snipers on sniper maps, you are not accessing high grounds on maps with verticality. And in reality, yeah, low A tier is where Junker Queen belongs. This is going to be a very biased opinion, but I feel like D.Va is completely overpowered on certain set of maps, such as Dorado, Numbani, Hollywood, Watchpoint Gibraltar, and other maps with verticality, where you can access high grounds, when you can poke from the high ground and then fall to the low ground, get some heals, recharge your matrix, and go for a deadly combo with thrusters, missiles, and then just character is extremely dominant on maps like this. You can cancel so many ultimates, Hilari ultimate, you can cancel grabs with your matrix, and you are closing pretty much every single hitscan character. They are suffering against you, but in reality, D.Va is not a versatile character. If you would want to play her on control of the point maps, you will quickly realize that opponents will swap Zarya and there is nothing you would do in that situation. You don't really want to play her on push the robot maps, as there are not many high grounds that you can go in and out from. And in reality, yeah, D.Va is incredibly strong and incredibly slept on. And if you are struggling on Numbani, the first point, I see so many players like, oh, Numbani again, the first point. Just play D.Va, learn D.Va, and you'll quickly realize how overpowered she is. Zarya is taking an absolute S tier spot for today's day and age. Very nice 1v1s versus pretty much every single tank. And if opponents swap Reinhardt, you just ask your dude to play Bastion, and yeah, the dude that was a direct counter to you turns into a complete garbage. There is nothing you can do on Reinhardt in that regard, and if you'd want to pin someone, there is gonna be a Zarya bubble to deny that kill, and then Shatter can be bubbled. It is just completely and utterly disgusting to play with and against that character. I personally don't have that much of a high win rate on Zarya, but in reality, character is super duper annoying to play against. It feels like it's not like you want to go for kills on the backline with high energy, but you just stand your own ground, you control space, and you deny space for the enemy tank and players, while, of course, going for the beams and the right clicks. Character is incredibly oppressive and deserves the spot at the top of the S tier. Ramattra is garbage in the current state of the game, low B tier for sure. I feel like the higher you climb, the more you'd realize how awful Ramattra is at this point. We are entering the stage of the game where you have poke characters present pretty much in every single lobby, and then you have just a horrendous 1v1 against Orisa. You are horrible versus D.Va on verticality maps, you are horrible versus Sigma on sniper maps, and then Zarya can also create so many problems for you. Not to say the least that there is a Bastion in the game, and I remind you that even if you block, his turret farm is gonna devour you alive regardless. It is insane how much Ramattra has fallen from being like one of the best tanks for low elo, and I would still feel like she is the best tank for low elo for how simple his kit, for the value you get out of him. But in reality, again, the higher you climb, like people in masters, people even like in low masters, people will understand that all it takes is one good soldier or one good Bastion and you are completely cooked. I don't actually know where to place Sigma. I feel like she's like the top of the B tier for every single map except Circuit Royale, Havana, and Junkertown. On these maps, I would place him at the top of the A tier. He is incredibly strong in terms of absorbing damage, he is incredibly strong in terms of poking, and you have a nice potential to kill squishes if you can land your rocks, if you can shield the enemy tank behind him and then deny heals, like direct heals from let's say, Larry, Ana, Kiriko, and then that way just like quickly poke him out. Yeah, it's gonna be nice. If they are jumping on Winston, you cannot realistically peel for your team, and you just become pretty useless. I feel like Sigma is very nice on sniper maps, but other than that, B tier character for sure. Wrecking Ball is a C tier character for the amount of skill that it takes to get mediocre value. You would rather just play Orisa and improve at the character that's currently meta. Wrecking Ball can be exceptionally annoying, but there are certain characters that completely ruin all the fun for you. Like, dude swaps Sombra, and if you are not experienced enough in that matchup, you're gonna suffer so much. There is just nothing you can do to save yourself, and in reality of the situation, it's just too difficult for 99% of the player base. Like, people have no idea how to utilize them properly, and yeah, it is insane how good you have to be in terms of your tracking, like your timing on engage, your mechanical skill on Wrecking Ball. It's gonna take hundreds of hours to be mediocre, to reach the level that you already have on easier tanks already. Reinhardt is going to be another complete garbage in the game, and I'm not even sure if I would want to have Reinhardt or Wrecking Ball in my team. Probably Reinhardt. You have horrible 1v1 against Ramattra, you have a horrible 1v1 against Orisa, you have a horrible 1v1 against D.Va on verticality maps, horrible 1v1 versus Sigma on sniper maps, and there is just no time and place for Reinhardt. Your like super duper direct counter in the face of Bastion is always present in games, and your shield is gonna get shattered, and then if you would want to pin someone, you can get shattered in the process. And there is just nothing you can do in that regard. You want to swing your mace, everyone is gonna escape, and it is just the sad reality of the situation. Reinhardt is just a horrendous choice in the current state of the game, not as good as he was before, though. And then Roadhog is going to be the last character for today's list, and I'm not even sure what to say about this character. We are still waiting for Season 7 rework, as was promised by developers, but from the information that I've gathered, developers are not fulfilling their promises, so maybe, perhaps, we'll never see the rework of Roadhog, and he will just stay the same garbage than he is right now. Like, imagine you have in the tanks with insane utility, and then you take Roadhog, and all you do is you can hook someone clueless and then try to one-shot him, and it doesn't work, and then you cry in a corner. It's just a disaster and a half. You are feeding enemies ultimates, and one Ana player with anti-nade can ruin all your fun on a character. Zenyatta is incredibly annoying if you play against him, and then you have horrible 1v1s against pretty much every single tank in the game, as they have more utility or will have the chance to completely escape the danger here. So this is going to be it for today's tier list. Let me know in the comment section what do you think about it. See you in the next one. Take care.